It's time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus, is brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, compassion, all right here. BTI, your John Deere dealer with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. Eagle Radio, Hull Broadcasting, and HayesPost.com, keeping our community connected. And The Taco Shop. Order by phone or use the Taco Shop app. Dine in, pick up, or delivery. The Taco Shop. You've never had it so good. Now, Tiger Talk with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock.
And a good afternoon and welcome to Tiger Talk. We are live at the Robins Center inside the Fort Hays State University campus, part of Tiger Club. Glad to have you with us for this Wednesday as we talk Fort Hays State athletics, Tiger basketball. There'll be an action tomorrow night, men and women at home taking on Missouri Western. Only one game since we last met last Wednesday. That was the Tigers and Emporia State. Had a rare weekend off. That was last Thursday. So we'll recap the Hornets, take a preview look at this weekend as they continue the homestand. Missouri Western tomorrow, and then Saturday afternoon, the Northwest Missouri State Bearcats come to town. We're also going to talk some women's wrestling. Elijah Jeffrey with us for the first time of the new year. The women's team getting set for their first competition of 2025. We'll have a preview of that, see how they handled the long break since they last wrestled. Can't tell you the men's wrestling team had an interesting weekend. The weather certainly wreaked havoc. They were to go, as we talked with Coach Wentz, they were to go out to Colorado, Gunnison, Western Colorado Open, and never could get there because of the snow, so they shifted back. They ended up going to Hastings for the Hastings Open in Nebraska. Ended up having 5 placers at that event, led by Connor Padgett. He was runner-up at 174. Ryan Patterson, runner-up at 197. Matthew Rodriguez, third at 184. And then a couple of fourth-place finishers, A.B. Stokes at 125 and Drew Ball at 149. The Tigers heading north. They'll be in Marshall, Minnesota this weekend. Duels with Wisconsin Eau Claire, Southwest Minnesota State, and Minot State. So some different competition for them this weekend. Track and field, indoor track and field, getting after it here for the first time in the new year. They'll be headed to Topeka for the Washburn Rust Buster. That'll be on Friday. And, of course, for all the wrestling, you can go online. I think even track and field, go to the website, FortHaysStateAthletics.com, click on the sport, and you'll see the link to the events. Women's wrestling will be at the York College Open Saturday, and that will also be able to be watched through the KCAC network at the Fort Hays State Athletics website. Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition inviting you to join fans of the plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. We'll take our first break. Elijah Jeffrey, women's wrestling coach, joins us when we return right here on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PWC.
He bobbles into the 10-5, touchdown.
Into the edge, and Hayes High's going to win this football game. Johnny Rigler is on the spot.
Fire up the 3, fake it home as it swirls.
Launches a 3, bang, nothing but net.
It's dropped in left field, and we are tied as 5 touchdowns.
He didn't get down. Hayes High wins in overtime.
Shot no good. Rebound bounces up into the air, and it's going to be saved in by Dilsaver. Saves it into Wilborn. What a play. Here comes Levy. Up the floor, Weeder. Layup good. What a play. It started with the save in on the baseline by Dilsaver. It ends with a Weeder layup, and the Tigers have their biggest lead at 19-13. That was some of the action from last Thursday. Fort Hays State women's basketball and Emporia State. We'll have more on that game and preview their week ahead with the Coach Talia Cars here in just a little bit. Need to remind you that Tiger Talk today brought to you by the Taco Shop. You can order by phone. Use the Taco Shop app. Dine in, pick up, delivery. They're just east of the Fort Hays State campus on A Street. The Taco Shop. You've never had it so good. Gerard Wellbrock joined now by Elijah Jeffrey, the head women's wrestling coach at Fort Hays State. And I think we were talking before we went on here. Last time we chatted with you, you had just wrapped up the first semester. I got the win at Missouri Baptist and had that big weekend. Had knocked off a couple of ranked teams, lost to number 1 ranked Iowa, but had a good showing in the Jewel Duels in Liberty. And now you've been off for a long time, well over a month, I guess. Everybody, I'm sure, enjoyed the break, a little time away for Christmas, but now getting right back after it here, starting back up this weekend.
Yep. We're finally getting back into the swing of things, and I think the break was good for our wrestlers. Especially having a younger team, getting that time to go home for Christmas and just get a little bit of a reset and then come back. And we've had a great training phase this last week and a half and we have a lot of energy. And we're ready to go this weekend in New York. Yeah,
wrestling can be a grind, like we talk about in basketball, the winter sports. It's a long, just by the calendar year, it's a long sport. Did they get a little bit more break than maybe you normally would have a team at this time of the year because of the extra time between competition?
Yeah. So we got a little bit longer break than we hope to have in the future. Being our first year, we weren't able to qualify for the national duels that happened this past weekend. We're hoping next year and beyond that we will be wrestling at those national duels. We'll have to place top 16 in the national tournament come March, but if we're able to accomplish that, then we should be invited to the national duels next year, and we'll be competing early January.
Talk about the time away. What's the biggest challenge, obviously, other than keeping weight and all those things that go along with the sport, but when you're gone from that long, is it almost like starting over when you get them all back?
A little bit. We have to shake the rust off those first couple days, and we push it pretty hard and get the conditioning in check. But it really doesn't take quite as long as you would imagine. I think that mental reset from going home for break is a good thing, and they usually have a lot of energy, and they're glad to be back in the room by the time they get there.
And I'm sure a lot of them, obviously, they still work out while they're gone, and if they have a chance, go back to their old high schools and maybe spar a little bit if they can to kind of keep a little bit in shape for the grind of 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still getting workouts in when they're gone, so they're not just hanging out waiting for that next practice. They still get plenty of workouts in.
Well, just kind of reviewing, 7-2 the first semester in duels, first official year of competition for Fort Hays State women's wrestling as a team. Just kind of an overview. You've had a little bit of time to reflect, I'm sure, with the time away. Thoughts on the first semester, how everybody did, and what excited you, and maybe areas that you feel you need to improve on?
Yeah. I've been really happy with the way that we've gone out and performed, and particularly in duels, we've had a lot of success. We've beaten some highly ranked opponents, and we've really coming together as a team. I think one thing that really sets us apart is that energy we bring for dual meets. Our teammates are, right there Matt's side cheering on their teammates, and I think that helps out a lot. I think some of the things that we lacked and some of the areas that we got beat in this first semester was just inexperience. We are a young team and a new program, so we're able to get some of those things figured out, a lot of those technical aspects, and that's what we spent our time on this Christmas break, so we should be back ready to go.
I guess the only way to get experienced is to go out there and compete, and I'm sure you're looking every time out that they just get a little bit better, maybe learn something new, and you stack it all together as a season, and then as their careers go along.
Yeah, absolutely. We go back, watch film, see what we could have done better, and improve on it. And I think a lot of the wrestlers are figuring out their identity, what's going to work for them, and what sets them apart from their competition. And we try to hone in on that and just expand it and make them the best wrestler that they can be.
We're visiting with Elijah Jeffrey, head women's wrestling coach at Fort Hays State. They'll be at the York College Open on Saturday. We'll preview that here in just a little bit. Any individuals that, and I don't want to put you on the spot with anyone, but maybe stood out for you that you were maybe pleased and got more out of than you thought you might going into the year?
Yeah. I think there's been some freshmen that have really performed well. Jumping right into college competition, it can sometimes be difficult, but we actually have two wrestlers at 131 that are both in the national rankings as freshmen, and they've really stepped up and shown a lot of growth. Jamie Laswell out of Arizona, she's has been one that has really taken care of business and has not lost a lot of matches. She has just progressed as the semester went on, and we're really expecting big things from her this second semester. And then also Amanda Yeager. She's out of Colby, Kansas, another freshman who had success at the high school level, but it transitioned really well to college, and she's finding success and is just climbing the national rankings.
We did have a question emailed to us, and basically they were wondering the differences in scoring and just the women's wrestling compared to men's wrestling. Maybe you can explain how the two are similar and how the two are different.
Yeah. So freestyle wrestling is definitely a lot faster paced. A lot of the wrestling is done on your feet. There's not as much mat wrestling as you would see in men's folk style. So point scoring a little different. You'll still have your 2-point takedowns, but you can also have takedowns where it's straight from their feet, land on their back, and that's a 4-point move. There is even 5-point moves, which is high amplitude, big throws, and different moves like that. So scoring happens rapidly. Every back exposure is another 2 points, and tech falls can happen fast. 10-point tech falls versus the 15 for men's wrestling. So a lot more high pace, a lot more throws, and a lot more scoring on the women's side in freestyle.
That's an exciting brand, certainly. Appreciate you kind of clearing that up. Someone had seen you wrestle and was like, man, I'm still trying to figure out the scoring system and how that all works. We're visiting with Elijah Jeffrey, women's wrestling coach. Tigers getting after it for the first time in the new semester coming up on Saturday. And you mentioned you did really well in duels, and now you're going to face competition, a couple of opens starting at York in York, Nebraska Saturday. You'll have some duels mixed in there as well, but maybe give us a preview. The York College Open begins Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Yeah.
So the York Open is a tournament that's been around for a long time, and they get some good teams out there and some good competition. I know one of them that we're excited to see is Colorado Mesa. We saw them at the beginning of the year. We lost in a duel to them at our first competition, but we're looking to get some of those matches back and see some of those matches at the tournament. And then also some of the high-level NAI programs will be out there too, like Grandview that's ranked number 2 in the country. That'll be another team that we're looking to find matches against and just really shake that rust off from Christmas break and get good competition and hopefully walk away with some medals.
Well, and it's kind of interesting with women's wrestling becoming more popular and more schools adding it. And, you always have your Division I, your Division II, Division III, NAI, whatever. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of difference in some of those. So you may be facing a good NAI or there's a good wrestling program. I'm sure over time as more added, like the men's side, it'll triculate down a little bit. But it doesn't matter what level they are, it's usually pretty good competition.
Yeah, absolutely. The NAI is where the first ones to add women's wrestling. So they've had some programs that have been established and been around for a long time. So, yeah, we're going to see good competition at every level. All the NCAA programs, the NAI, and the junior colleges are very tough as well.
Talk about the schedule. York this weekend, you're going to go to Sioux Falls for a duel later in January. At the Grandview Open, that'll be in Iowa. You go to Hastings, you'll have Chadron here for a duel, and then a regional competition in mid to late February. Just talk about the second semester schedule a little bit, some highlights there and what to expect.
Yeah, so the second semester goes by really fast. The postseason is here before you know it, but we've just got an opportunity to have some more matches and find success. Our goal is ultimately to be wrestling at our best come the regional tournament. So everything else is building to that point. We'll have some good dual meets. We're looking forward to seeing Sioux Falls and a Chadron State that's a team in our region. Those should be some good dual meets, and we're looking to just continue to do what we have been doing all year. And then the Grandview Open, that's one that will be a really tough one. Mm-hmm. It's kind of that last season tough tournament where we'll see a lot of those top teams in both NCAA and NAI, and that's where we'll really figure out where we're at. And then if there are some changes that we need to make after that, we'll make those changes and hopefully be peaking at the right time.
That sounds good. You guys healthy right now?
We're pretty healthy. Yeah, we have been healthy, knock on wood. We've had a good year, and we're looking to keep that going.
All right, sounds good. Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. We're excited to be competing out of York and getting back on the mat.
All right, that gets underway 9 a.m. on Saturday. If you're interested, you can watch it. There's a link on Fort Hays State Athletics website under the women's wrestling schedule page. It's through the KCAC network. Elijah, appreciate the visit. Good to have you back on, and good luck this weekend.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
There you go. It's Elijah Jeffrey, the head women's wrestling coach at Fort Hays State University. Look your best on Tiger Game Day with official Nike gear from BSN Sports and the Sideline Store. Go to FortHaysStateAthletics.com, FHSUathletics.com. Click on Shop. There you'll find hundreds of products and designs, and they're all customizable. Again, FHSUathletics.com. Click on Shop and open up the Tiger Team store. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll talk women's basketball with head coach Talia Cars here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
Being a foster grandparent has definitely given me a purpose in life.
Just been so happy, just so much more energy than being at home alone doing nothing but watching TV. It's the best part of my life.
Best part of being a foster grandparent volunteer, watching the light up in the kids' eyes.
I'm living again, and the foster grandparent did that for me.
Outlet Dilsaver, 9 seconds to go. Dilsaver up the floor, down with the key Weeder. She'll launch a three. Good! With 4 seconds to go in the quarter, Emporia gets it in. They won't shoot it. Telexa Weeder with a dozen first quarter points, and Fort Hays State leads by 10. Yeah, some of the action from last Thursday. The Tiger women knock off Emporia State 87-65. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. It's presented by BTI, your John Deere dealer. Locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family, in partnership with your family. Joined by head coach Talia Cars. Tiger women get the win over Emporia State, and that was it. A rare weekend off in mid-January. It was kind of nice, and after the road trip, which we talked about with the weather and dealing with all of that, it was probably nice to play the one game. You got the win and a little chance to charge back up. And we always talk about the grind, and it really will be from here on out. But it was a nice win for you gals last Thursday here at home.
Yeah, no, it's been an interesting Christmas break. Usually Christmas break feels like it drags on when the girls aren't in class and we're trying to keep them busy and those things. And it's felt like we have been really busy. And even though we didn't play Saturday, we practiced a little bit and tried to change some things up, and it's been pretty busy.
We'll talk about the game a little bit, and then we'll maybe look at some of the areas you've been working on. Emporia, their record isn't great, but you watch them play, they're close. I mean, they've battled a lot of people tough, and that was kind of how the game was on Thursday night. You could never really pull away until you did late, but they hung around, and you had just a dominant final 8 minutes in that one. But and it's a young team. They've gotten rid of a few players. They're playing a lot of freshmen, and I thought they came in, gave you a pretty good fight, but I thought your team did a good job of answering that all night long. Yeah,
I thought we did a good job of just staying engaged and continuing to try to do things that we need to do to get a lead built up, and they just continued just to grind it out and get stops eventually, and then we ended up executing and getting some easy buckets.
Talk about the final 8 or so minutes. You go on a crazy run. I think they pulled back to within 4, and then you kind of left them in the dust. Just talk about those final 8 minutes, maybe some of the best basketball all year for your team.
Yeah, it's basically when we pick up the ball full court, when that person's having to bring it up against usually Kate the whole game, they just get tired. It just wears on you, and you don't necessarily always see it until maybe the last 8 minutes of the game where it's like, okay, I'm done. And I felt like we just hung in and kept that intensity, and then eventually it just kind of wore them out, I think, and then things started going our way, and we were able to play a little fast and got stops easy or turnovers and then got easy buckets.
Yeah, got a lot of layups. You shot 75% in that fourth quarter, 12 of 16. That never hurts, and you held them to, 5 of 19 shooting. And Kate hit some threes. She finished with 12 points. She had, 5 rebounds in the game, 4 assists. That alone was a great night. And then you add what she does every night, and you mentioned the defense. One of her better all-around games probably in her career.
Yeah, no, I mean, their point guard's good, and she does a good job, and they want to try to go to her all the time. And so Kate hung in there, and then if Kate wasn't in, somebody else hung in there and just really tried to contain her. We didn't do as well in the first half with her. In the second half, I thought we did a really good job.
Telexa Weeder had another big game, double-double, 21 points, 11 boards. We heard the highlight earlier. She was a big spark in that first quarter when she came in, and one thing she can bring is instant offense.
Yeah, no, she definitely does, and it's nice to be able to sub her in for Katie or Liv, and then she just is so much different than Liv. It's hard for, I think, the other team to adjust to the different style of play for Telexa, and then she just goes and makes something happen.
And then Liv had 23 in the game, 6 rebounds, and did it in a little over 20 minutes of action. She had a really big second half. It's good to see your team able to get her the ball. And then, as we've seen so many times, her ability to run the floor in transition is really fun.
Yeah, and we knew that was something that she was going to be able to do, we thought, against our starting five anyway. And so we really, I thought, executed on that. She did a good job of getting in good position, and then we were able to get the ball reversed in a spot where she had a good, easy shot.
87-65 was the final. The Tiger women knocking off the Emporia State women on Thursday. And then, as we mentioned, didn't play over the weekend, so a full week between games. And, this time of the year is always kind of fun because you can really concentrate on basketball. Obviously, the road trip kind of dampened that a little bit and kind of screwed up the practice plans. But this is a time you can really improve because you play games, you don't have classes yet, students aren't on campus. I mean, your teams could really hone in and focus and do some team bonding and all those things. Have you been able to do some of that and get the things accomplished you'd hope to?
Yeah, I think we got better over the weekend. We were able to rest a little bit too, which I think is huge this time of year as well, especially with kids that are older that have been doing it for 4 or 5 years. Their body needs a break. So we were able to do that, but I also think we had some good hard practices too that were just different than games and able to do a lot of mental work on just different offensive things, different defensive things, and really just try to get more chemistry done on the court.
You mentioned giving players a break. Katie played 26 minutes. Was that by design? She's one of those. She's logged a lot of miles and a lot of hard physical miles. You trying to get her a few more breaks here and there when you can?
I think when Telexa's playing good, it allows me to play the three of them kind of freely. So I didn't feel like I needed to sub them one or the other. Telexa was playing really good, so she played some. Liv was playing really good, so she played a little more. And so it's nice for me because I am able to kind of flip them around however I want to, and they just adjust and they run the offense how they're supposed to depending on what position they're in.
And you had a stretch, so you kept the 5 on the floor in for a long time because they were playing so well.
Yeah, and it was fast-paced, but also at the same time it wasn't, and I didn't ever feel like we got tired, and that's a lot of times the reason I'm subbing is we need a break, we need to save it to the end or whatever, and I just thought that they were playing at a high level for a long time, and so I left them in there, and we weren't able to get away from them, and then eventually we did, and then I was able to sub after that.
Tigers back here tomorrow, Missouri Western, and then Northwest Missouri State on Saturday, and really big games really from here on out. You look at the MIAA race, Pitt still on the top undefeated. There's a bunch of teams with 1 and 2 losses right there. As you look at this race, what are areas you're going to have to do well or do better in if you're going to be there at the end of the year trying to compete for another regular season title?
I think when you're playing those top teams, you're really obviously focused, you're really into it, and I think when it comes to the MIAA, you've got to have that intense focus and preparation for every game because you can't get those losses to teams that you're not supposed to lose to. So you're going to have those breaks like we did against Western last time where the ball didn't go your way, but you've got to maintain that intensity and that preparation every single game because everybody else is doing it to you, and so you just got to be ready for everybody's best shot.
And I guess that's the benefit of a veteran team by and large. They should certainly be very full aware of that. They've been through these battles before. All right, tomorrow Missouri Western comes to town. They clipped you by 1. Your only loss there at their place about a week and a half ago or so, kind of a quirk in the schedule. You play them right again, and I'm sure your team's excited for this one. There's been no loss of love between the two programs over the years, and give them credit. They've kind of had your number. They're the one team that Fort Hays State has struggled to beat. What's it going to take tomorrow night to kind of turn that back in your favor?
We're trying to do some things and really just focus on their tendencies and what they really like to do and make them not do that. So I think we know what they like to do now. We've obviously played them once. We've been prepping for them now for a week. So we have a pretty good idea of at least what they're good at, that we're going to try to make them do their second option instead of their first option defensively. And then offensively, just they have really good help side in the post especially. And so figuring out how we can maybe get our guards better shots or get the ball reversed and give our posts an easier shot where they can't help as much. And so I think that the girls have really prepped for that, and hopefully we have a good game plan.
They have a new coach, but yet it feels like they're kind of the same old Missouri Western. They seem to play a lot the same.
They do. And I know that our fans weren't like a huge fan of the former coach, so it'll be interesting to see what you think of the new coach because it's very similar. So it should be fun. It'll be fun for them to have to play in our atmosphere because most of those kids have never played at Fort Hayes. So I'm excited for them to get here and see if they're ready to step up to the challenge or if it's a little intimidating. And so that'll be fun to see.
You're a team that likes the three-point shot. Obviously, you got to defend that well.
Yeah, everybody on their team shoots a three. So we've got to really defend that and give them one chance and give them a hard contested shot when they shoot it.
And then real quick, Northwest Missouri State, that'll be Saturday. The Bearcats, I think, what were they, 7-1, ranked 9th in the country, then lost 6 in a row. They got back on the winning track over the weekend. But, a proud program, and they had aspirations of being right there in the MIAA title race. They've got a lot of work to do, but you're going to get their best shot, and they're a hard team to match up with.
They are, and they have a lot of experience. So they know what it's like to play here, and they know what it's like to play in the MIAA. And I don't see them not finishing in the top half for sure just because they're going to grind out some wins. They're going to know and adjust. Just like all of us do, and have a ton of experience, and so definitely can't take them lightly, even though we beat them on the road. They're physical and they're tough, and they're really, really good defensively. So we just got to make sure we get stops too.
All right, should be a fun couple of days of basketball as the Tigers wrap up this 3-game homestand. Coach, as always, appreciate the time, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
Thanks, Jared.
There you go. Talia Cars, head coach of the Fort Hays State women. 5:30 tomorrow. They take on the Griffins from Missouri Western State. Tiger Talk brought to you by the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, the most comprehensive orthopedic care in Western Kansas. Let the experts at Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute help you move freely. Learn more at hayesmed.com/orthopedics. We'll talk men's basketball with Mark Johnson after the break here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayespost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, real country. 99 KZ Country.
Hammocky had a pass go through his hands. He gets it back as he's being hounded by Mack. Hammocky drives, banks it up and in, and there's the record basket. Caleb Hammocky with a dozen, and he's become Fort Hays State's all-time leading scorer, 1,768 career points. Yeah, that was a nice thing to get out of the way in the first half. Caleb wouldn't score the rest of the way, but it was enough as the Tigers roll by Emporia State 69-44 at home last Thursday. Welcome back into Tiger Talk. Gerard Welbrock and head basketball coach on the men's side, Mark Johnson. Let's go ahead and start with that. Caleb Hammocky, the all-time leading scorer in Fort Hays State history. Over 1,700 points, over 500 assists, top 4 in the history of the program there. And I know we've talked a lot about him, but quite a feat, quite an accomplishment for him. And I know he's been reminded it was getting close. It was nice to see him. He kind of carried you in that first half and got that taken care of in the first half, and a great feat, obviously, for Caleb.
Yeah, he got us off to a great start, and no player more deserving of all the accolades that he gets is Caleb. I mean, Caleb, he's great on the court. He's great off the court. He's a special person and a special player, and I know this is a COVID year, but, the one year we played in COVID season, we only played 22 games, and he did it in his 14th game this year. So that's one of his seasons is 36 games. That's pretty much maybe just a few games over a typical season. So, I don't know if the COVID thing is as big as a factor as some may think. Like I said, you combine those 2 years, it's only 36 games. So, well-deserved, great, and he does it on, the scoring is nice. He does so many other things to help us win. He's defensively makes our defense go. He just really is, makes everything that we do, that we do well. He's a big part of why we do it well.
And I thought you said it well after the game when we talked about him. He's been through a lot of practices, a lot of off-season workouts, obviously a lot of games, just a lot when you've had a career like his. And I thought maybe that summarizes him. You've never had to tell him he wasn't working hard enough or he wasn't doing the drill properly or whatever. He just goes out there, and what you see on the court during the games is what you would see if you go to practice on a Tuesday afternoon.
No question. I mean, the only time, sometimes like any player, you mentally make the wrong read or the wrong decision. That happens to everybody, but never one time have we ever had to get on Caleb. And like I said, to me, that's one of the most amazing things that he's at a redshirt year, so he's been with us 6 years. And, like I tell the new guys this year, especially at the beginning of the year, this is his 6th year doing these things. You think he's bored of doing these drills? Do you really think he wants to do these drills? Yet this is all new to you, and he goes harder than all of you every single time. Maybe you can learn from that, and I think our guys have learned from that. It's been a lot easier being able to maintain our physicality, our defense, our effort, our toughness. Probably has as much to do with Caleb as anything myself or the coaches are doing. The new guys transition in and they watch him, and I guess I have no choice. I got to do what he's doing, or at least try to get as close as I can to what he is doing.
Well, you look at defensively, since you brought it up, 39 points allowed at Northwest, 47 in the loss to Western, and then you give up 44 to Emporia. And we talked about the defense, and you've been really good. Last year was maybe the best ever in Fort Hays State history, and we didn't know quite what it would be like this year. They've been able to maintain that. It's a little different, but give them credit, and they've had to, because the offense has kind of hit a little tough patch here. But, boy, defensively, you got to like what you've seen from this group.
Yeah, very surprising. I thought you'd definitely see a dip, and the only thing we don't turn the other team over quite as much. I think a lot of that has to do with B being out there. He's had active hands, had find his way to speed the other team up. But statistically, we've been really good. But like our guys, we talk about every day, what we've done is what we've done. Be a good defensive team means tomorrow, what are we going to do tomorrow? So because we've been really good doesn't mean we'll continue, but at least you're tracking in the right direction. Well, we've really struggled offensively in conference. We went from non-conference third in the nation into three-point shooting. So through our 9 non-conference games, we were third in the nation. And now we get into our 5 conference games and we're dead last in our league. We're just really having a hard time shooting the ball. You look at the Emporia game, and I've talked about it, how much size changes. Emporia is just right now not big enough. So we shot the ball terrible from the perimeter, but we were able to finish around the rim and shoot 50%. Western is big. They make it hard to finish at the rim. And then when we can't make perimeter shots against Western, you can't really make up for that by getting things at the rim. So tomorrow we're going to have to shoot the ball a lot better than we have in conference, or we're going to have to shut them out like we did last time and try to win in the 40s, which is difficult to do.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And you're right. That's probably the biggest thing we notice is by and large for both teams, and we've talked about it before, the size that Division II basketball has become. I mean, you look at some of these teams and their rosters. That was a Division I roster 10 years ago, and now it's the size of Division II. It makes it tough.
Yeah, I would assume if you asked most coaches in all their sports, would be similar. I mean, kids today are just bigger, taller, faster, stronger than they were however many years ago. So no question. I mean, there's really no difference. If you went to a Missouri Valley conference game and watched warm-ups, the bodies and the people out there's not really much difference in warm-ups in the MIAA men's basketball games. We look very similar. You have to have size, and that's something going forward we have to continue here as we lose some guys graduating this year. Size is vital to keep your ability to physically compete.
One of the bigger guys who had a pretty good game, Dan McCuna, finished with 16, actually led you in scoring against Emporia State. 7 for 7 from the floor, banked in a 3, so it was going well. Did miss a free throw, 1 for 2 there. Seems like he's starting to figure things out a little bit more. I know on the defensive side in those areas he still has got some improving to do, but it feels like he's been able to give you a bit of a shot of the arm when he's in there and maybe starting to feel a bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, he offensively has a little bit more ability than some of our other guys. What he has to be able to do is take that offensive ability against the bigger, stronger teams. Emporia, like I said, right now, they're a little bit smaller, unphysical. Our NAI teams, he had some good games against NAI. He's got to be able to go do this against Missouri Western tomorrow, and I think eventually he can. He's still in that process. coming and just, I don't think he was really physicality wasn't something that was preached all the time. And I think he's a lot better today than he was when he first got here, and he's only a sophomore. So we're really excited for Dan. And Dan he's a wonderful guy. At times I wish I try at games to get him mad at me, to get him a little fired up, and it just doesn't seem to work either. He's just a kind-hearted, really nice kid, and continually getting better, and we're glad to have him.
I know Muhammad didn't shoot the ball particularly well against Emporia State, but he seems like another guy. Hopefully he can kind of get going to give you a little bit more spark on the offensive side.
Yeah, we struggle to create. I mean, that's, when you're not shooting the ball well, you got to create, and Caleb's really the only guy that I would say can create. I think Mo is the second best option we have besides Caleb, and he's same thing. The physicality going from junior college to here. Now when he drives, there's traffic, there's people, physical and strong, and you got to be strong yourself. And we need him again tomorrow. I think he's going to have to make some plays for us. And he's getting better too. And I think a lot of our young guys are getting better. A guy that probably doesn't get talked about a lot because he's not playing a ton of minutes, but I think has a really big upside for us is Eli. Eli is going to be a good player. There might be a couple younger guys playing a few more minutes than him right now, but it wouldn't surprise me 2 years from now he's playing more minutes than some of the young guys that are playing right now. He's a strong kid and just keeps getting better. Coming from 2A was a big jump, and we're really excited about Eli as we move forward.
Yeah, he had 4 points, a couple of boards in the win over Emporia State last Thursday. Tiger Talk presented by Fans with the Plans. Tiger Athletics, proud to partner with the Kansas Drive to Zero Coalition, and they encourage you to join Kansas Fans with a Plan. Always have a designated driver or other sober ride to and from your destination. Fort Hays State will get Missouri Western here tomorrow, Northwest Missouri State on Saturday. We'll take our final break, preview those two matchups when we return right here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PWC.
When it comes to screen printing and embroidery, your first choice should be Redeem Designs in Hays. Turn it up with Redeem Designs, where it's not just about the products, it's about the partnership. At Redeem Designs, you're part of the process. They work closely with you to ensure your vision comes to life. So turn up your 2024-25 season with Redeem Designs.
Here's McDowell up top, over to Bakuna on the right wing. Dan attacks, down the lane, to the rim, tough runner, he put it in. Dan Bakuna has taken over, he has 11. 58-32, Fort Hays State with their biggest lead of the game. More of the action from Thursday. The Tigers win over Emporia State. Tiger Talk brought to you by Golden Belt Bank. Your life has a story. Golden Belt Bank wants to get to know that story. Golden Belt Bank, Hayes and Ellis. Visit them online, goldenbeltbank.com. You mentioned Missouri Western. They clipped you at their place a couple of weeks ago when they had the storm and everything. Moved the games up 47-44. I think you held them to 18 at halftime and just couldn't contain them in the second half. You kind of alluded to it. They are long. Zane Nelson, really one of the new faces from the lineup they had a year ago, really makes them go. A challenging opponent who got off to a great start, kind of stumbled a little bit, but you're going to have your hands full tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, they'll come out here, and it's just been a low-scoring game, it seems like, the last however many times we played them. Got to do a good job on the glass. I mean, we lost that game because they had 14 offensive rebounds, and we held them to 28% shooting, which it's virtually impossible to lose doing that, but we found a way. But the reason we did is those 14 offensive rebounds, they got 8 more shots off than us. And so when you give up 8 more offensive shots, it's hard to win. But we got to come out here and try to guard them the same. And I think we were 3 of 15 from 3 there. Like I said, but their size at the rim is really, really hard. We got to go up strong, find a way to finish, and then again we have to loosen it up by hitting some perimeter shots.
All right, that'll be tomorrow night, and then Northwest here on Saturday. That'll be a challenge, even though they're maybe not the Northwest of the past. They're going to play hard and play well. Coach, Appreciate the time, and look forward to seeing you. Should be a fun one tomorrow night with the Griffins.
All right, thanks, Troy.
There you go. That's head coach Mark Johnson of the Fort Hays State Tigers. Again, 5:30, 7:30 tomorrow night. Fort Hays State women and men's basketball. We're on the air at 5:05 with the Auto World pregame show here on Tiger Radio Mix 103.3. Then 2 and 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon, the Bearcats from Northwest Missouri State in town. That'll wrap it up. Certainly appreciate you joining us today. We'll talk to you again next Wednesday right here from the Robins Center. It's Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network.
Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus.